Hi, she's Trixie, and I'm Sarah, and this is our Yarn World, a place where we come to share the love of yarn crafts and what we hope it brings other people when we give them as gifts, which seems to be a big topic today. And, you know, the enjoyment of there's just such an enjoyment to be able to sit down and be able to do something that we already love and know that it's going to bring a smile on someone else's face.
Yes.
And just being able to sit down and do something that you enjoy and know that you're not just wasting time.
Right.
Sometimes I feel I struggle with that, like when I'm reading a book or I'm watching a show, feeling like I'm not doing something productive, even though I know that me and myself is allowed to be able to do something just for me.
Yes.
It can just be hard not to be like, I should be doing something. So this is something that when I do it, I actually feel okay sitting down and doing it, unless my kids are asleep and I'm just like, oh, well.
And see the progress when you're doing it.
Yeah, so you definitely have a stack there, don't you?
Yes, I do. And I'm going to begin with our friends. I had showed this before, but now I have it with the tassel on it. So we've got all of it done, including the tassel.
That's so pretty. You did a good job with the tassel.
And it's a wind spinner made from a tutorial on YouTube from a woman called Anya, who is Ophelia Talks. And she does a good job in teaching how to do this, and it's a wonderful project if you wanted to do it. I've got a couple more. I figured my little granddaughter and grandson needed one. So we went to the store, we went to Joann's, and we went shopping, and we took the kids, and I had my granddaughter pick out her colors. And
sorry, this is kind of twisted there, right? Yeah, we're good.
And so she wanted, I picked the silver, okay? But she picked the pink and the red. So we've just made it work. I start with white always on the first round anyway, or the lightest color, just so that it flows through all the way through. And then that one's got a tassel.
It honestly reminds me a lot of, this one reminds me a lot of like Valentine's.
Yeah.
Just the red and the pinks and the colors that go well with it.
But her yarns were only, I think, a 3-weight. So they're not hers doesn't look as wide as the other two.
Oh, but it's pretty because you have all the sparkles in it.
Yeah, and all of her yarns had sparkle. And my grandson, his is, it's got the silver, but it's also got the red sparkle, the silver sparkle. I started with the white, and then I ended with the blue, and I think that blue really draws it out. It's really pretty.
Poppin'.
Yeah, and then you got the tassel.
It reminds me of like Spider-Man or Captain America.
There you go. Yeah, I was thinking more 4th of July.
No.
And your dad kind of liked that too. He was really taken with this one. My husband was. He was just like, wow, that's a really nice one. So yeah, we it's a pattern that's really easy, and if
definitely a beginner's pattern.
Yeah. And if you wanted to learn how to do it, you go to Ophelia Talks on YouTube, and it's called Wind Spinners. So, and it's right in the title. So
I'm sure we could tag it in the description below.
I will try.
I can help you tag it in the description below.
Okay.
And then, did you have anything else that you wanted to show?
No.
Okay.
I did work on my sweater a little bit, but I'm not to the point where I can show it. I'm trying to work up the chest area, and I want to be able to be done and hooked so that I can start doing the rounds in the sleeves. But there's just a little bit on each, the front and the back, and so there's not much to show.
Yeah, same with me with my blanket. I did work on it some, but it's not enough progress to really be monumental to actually share with you guys.
Right.
But something happened this week since the last video. I had a request to fill a Christmas order from my brother. So my brother, who has the two boys, is the one who... Those are the boys I made the Mario and the Bowser for last year that you guys really seem to enjoy. And my brother's just like, is it too late to, request their Christmas gifts this year? They really like the Mario and Bowser. Would you do a Link from... Link is a character from the Legend of Zelda video game series. For Nicholas and for Noah, would you do a Godzilla? I don't know if Godzilla... I know he's supposed to be a monster, but I'm not sure if he's actually... I'm guessing he's more of a big dinosaur, isn't he?
I think so.
Yeah. Just Godzilla. So,
and Noah is a dinosaur fanatic.
Dinosaurs. He does like dragons, but dinosaurs are more of his thing, and so obviously this fits into that area. And I was just like... I don't know. When he's just like, is this too late to ask? I'm sitting there thinking, I didn't even come up with the idea of doing Mario and Bowser until I had literally 25 days left till Christmas.
So there's at least time.
And I'm just like, time? What's that? You really think that this is a blessing from God that you're telling me now?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I don't think that far ahead. So I'm just like, you bless me with
it's a good time.
And the decision's already made. I don't have to think about what I'm making them. Okay.
You gave me a project, yes.
And I'm like, okay. And he's like, well, if you can do it. And I'm just like, do not disrespect. I literally texted him this. I said, do not disrespect the internet's ability to astound you. I'm sure there are patterns out there for these characters. And I went looking. And I did. I found a Link pattern that I'm very impressed with. The pattern is by Crown Country Crochet. And I did buy and print, and my mom printed off the pattern for me, but because it's in black and white, it actually shows pretty decently what this character looks like here. I know we're seeing the film in reverse. Does it correct?
No, it should show it in the right way.
Okay. I don't think you actually can see the name of the pattern, but I really wanted to show you guys what it actually looked like in regards of color and so this is what it looks like here. So I'm really excited, and as you know, things just look different when you start creating something. You know what I mean? Like you don't actually realize how it's going to start off or how big things are going to be. So when I found that pattern, I sent it right to my brother. I'm like, is this what you're looking for? He said yes. And then when I found the Godzilla pattern, I sent it to him and he really liked that one. So boom, done. Figured that out. Was able to purchase at least the Link one first. The Link one was about $5.50. I think that one was from Etsy. I think that one's from Ravelry. And then the Godzilla one might be from Etsy. I will confirm that. The Godzilla pattern is $9. I just haven't purchased it yet. But the Link character, even when I was looking at the description before purchasing the pattern, it did not give you dimensions as to how big it was going to be compared to let you know what the estimated outcome of the size was going to be. But the Godzilla one did. It told you how big it was going to be beforehand. And I think part of that was just because Godzilla is such a big character, so it can be made in a more miniature size or it can be made in a bigger size. And this one was the most realistic looking one, which is part of the reason why my brother wanted me to make it for Noah. But because it's more realistic, it's at 20 inches high, almost 2 feet, and I think its width is at 2 feet. With the tail. So I started with the Link. And I'm grateful I did, because I told Josh, I was like, I want to make these gifts for them. You've given me the idea. But I'm a little... I don't like I felt so bad about the Mario and the Bowser not being the same size, even though in scale, in their storyline, Bowser is definitely bigger than Mario, and so that worked just fine. But I was like, I don't want Nicholas to think that I'm duping him by not having him by giving him the smaller character. And in this way, it's happening again. Got Noah that wants the bigger character, and Nicholas that appreciates the smaller character. Josh and my brother just kept saying, don't worry about it. Quite literally, that's not even going to be a focus. They're going to be so focused on the gift. It's not even a comparison for them. It's what they want.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'll trust you.
Dinosaurs are always bigger anyway.
Right. But as I'm making this, I started the pattern for Link. And like I said, it did not have a scale. I didn't know how big this thing was going to be. And what it is when you're making these form of amigurumis, you have to make a skeleton for them first. Some people do them by wire. If they're actually going to make a stand for them and actually make them like a presentable, I don't know, statue or collectible. But I was able to construct mine out of pipe cleaner, and this thing is a decent size.
Yeah.
Like, probably like a ruler.
Or like a Barbie doll size.
No, it's bigger than a Barbie doll.
Okay.
It's definitely like 12 inches, this thing, and I'm not even done with its boot. So probably from where my foot is to where it's going to be with its hair and hat, this thing is going to be like 14 inches.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful. I really am. Because this character has clothes I have to make for it. And a sword and a shield and a hair and accents. And of course it's going to be the full 9 yards for this character. But it's going to be so detailed.
Yeah.
That it's going to be equal in effort as the Godzilla is going to be.
Yeah.
The Godzilla has a lot of detail to it, but it's not the same sort of meticulous detail as this one.
Right.
And so it's going to be different. But I really think that they're going to actually be equal in worth for the boys.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited. My brother was nice enough to say, he's like, I want to be able to, how much are these going to cost? And I was just like, well, I've already agreed to make them. You've already given me these ideas as for Christmas presents, so I mean, I have enough time. I can save the money and be able to do it. And my brother's like, me and my wife know how much work and time and cost for materials is. We are not expecting you, we didn't just give you the idea to not help you with it.
Right.
And because I really want these to still be partially something I want to give to them of my time for Christmas. And my brother always said that regardless, he was going to pay me, and they could still be from me. But I was just like, if you help me pay for the materials, my labor can be
part of the gift.
And so we're working on figuring out prices for that, because what I already have is fine. Like, I'm not gonna, but what I have to still buy.
Yeah.
Because Godzilla, if he's gonna be this huge hunkin' thing, it's gonna take a lot of stuffing.
Yep.
Because I can buy pounds of yarn at cheap prices.
Yeah.
But the stuffing can get pricey after you're just, because you got the stuffing and you're like, oh, I only need like a 32-ounce bag, but because you're trying to stuff it where it's firm.
Right. It has to be firm packed.
Right. It has to be able to hold its form. That 32 ounces can leave so quickly.
Yeah, you don't want it to be like cotton candy.
Right.
You want it to be like a firm pillow.
Something that I've noticed with making this is because you're actually crocheting around the skeleton you've created. I never stuffed the neck because of the wire, and it was at 8 single crochets in the round at that point, and it was just perfectly lining the wire, and I'm like, oh, I don't need to worry about it. But the head kind of jiggles.
Aww.
And I really don't know whether I should try to see if I can stuff the neck or not.
I wouldn't.
But it already has a pre-existing skeleton. The Godzilla is not going to, so you're going to require having a lot more foundation, unlike on these when you actually have something already pre-existingly supporting the inside.
Right.
And so, yeah, I only had the skeleton and the head done and barely the breast done this morning, and I've already gotten all this done since 8 o'clock.
That's amazing.
So, I don't know. This is my first time making a doll this detailed, and I can see that I'm going to get addicted to this. You're going to probably see more of this stuff happening, even regardless of orders. So, yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So, there's that. And again, this pattern, this particular link is from Crown Country Crochet, and they also had other characters from this this video game series. I think I know they had a Zelda. I don't know if they have any of the other characters, but Zelda's the other counterpart character besides Gandalf. Oh, I think it's Gandalf. No. Ganon. Well, let's call him Ganon. He has 2 names. The bad guy has 2 names, and I know that Ganon is the more appropriate canon name, so let's go with that. But I don't know if the bad guy actually has a pattern from these people.
Right.
I know that he's out there somewhere. So...
But they didn't ask for that part.
No, we don't need that. So, because Josh had originally said he was hoping that I could make Dragon Ball Z characters for them. And I had said, I'm sure it's out there. And I have found them, little Argurumis of around this size and Dragon Ball Z characters. And I had said I'd be able to do it, but I just need to have an answer. And that's when they just came up and just said that this is what they wanted. So
maybe for birthdays next year.
Maybe. But now I have to figure out what I gotta do for my other nephew.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to figure that out.
We got family pictures coming up. Maybe you can talk to her.
Yeah, I can talk to his mom. Is that appropriate to say?
Yeah.
Okay. He's a child that we have adopted, but my
in
brother,
our hearts.
But my brother is his actual guardian. Yeah. The child calls them Eric and Amber, not mom and dad, because his mom and dad are still technically there.
Yeah, and we've only adopted him in our heart. He's more like a foster child in their home.
Yeah, but definitely they are the guardians. Yeah. So there's that. I just don't really know I don't want to say guardian.
Right. No.
But the relationship that they have is much more parents to child than it is anything else.
He respects them more than anybody else. So
I got to figure that out, because that way I have all my nephews figured out. So, and then, I haven't made really anything for my kids yet. But this would actually...
with the practice, and everything, you're going to get better, and when they start asking for stuff, you'll be able to just bang them out.
I know. It's not necessarily a practice thing. If a pattern's out there, I'm pretty good at following patterns at this point. I'm pretty proud of myself for figuring out how to read patterns, because I didn't think I would ever be able to read patterns. I always made things off of a whim.
Right.
For the longest time. But if there's a pattern, I'm almost confident I can do it now. Right. And I'm very grateful for that. My only issue is that, I get so guilty to a point of being like, I'm a crafter and I barely make anything for my kids. But they're also at an age where their characters and their likes and dislikes and their preferences are changing so quickly, because my daughter's just turning 3 and my son is only 19 months old. And so it's like, they don't really know what they want yet. Right. And that's okay. That's really okay.
Like I said, by the time that
they'll be giving me orders upon orders upon orders, and I'm going to be over here just being like, what do you want first? I gotta know.
Well, and you're so good at it that,
I enjoy doing it.
It's not going to be that big of a deal.
It gives me an excuse to make stuff that I like. Sometimes when I have this pattern now to make the link. And I just have this feeling I'm going to end up making a whole crap ton of them. Because I like Link. He's my favorite character.
You could
in video games as well. And I'm just like, yeah, I have such a good nephew for liking this character.
You could get some page protectors and get a folder and start just putting in a folder together with all your
my
patterns that you've bought.
Yeah, and I know that. It's not like I don't know where they are. It's just after I make it, then I'm just like, unless someone's. It's like I've gotten to a point where this has become more of like something that I'm making orders for. That I'm always ready. I'm trying to always keep myself available to be able to fulfill orders. Right. And because of that, I don't always like to be working on my own crafts because at any point I have to put them down. So I don't want to like.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense, but there's a point of like I don't want to disappoint myself when I have to put down. It's kind of like you had to put down your sweater and you were feeling bad about that, but in the hopes of actually getting presents done, you had to do that.
Well, and I really enjoyed learning that new
pattern.
That was the joy of it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read our verse of the week, and this week is another a week of a lot of stuff going on. So the scripture is, our purpose is to please God, not people. 1 Thessalonians 2:4 in the New Living Translation. With my mom being still in the hospital, and it looks like it's going to be a long road in the hospital, and if she gets out at all. The news just keeps coming with more and more things going on. And they did a bone marrow biopsy yesterday. And so they're saying that the cancer that had started in her throat has gone into her blood, into her stomach, and into her brain. And that's just part of the problems. I mean, she's got it started out with a perforated bowel that needed to be repaired, throwing up for being sick because of that going on, and she's got AFib in her heart. They don't know what's going on with that. Her blood pressure keeps going up and down.
She's dealing with really aggressive swelling.
Yes, her hands were so swelled that they didn't know if her fingers were going to have to be amputated for the rings that were still on them. That's starting to go down, but now her arms are swelling up. And it's just one thing after another, and we know that God is in control, ultimately. Maybe this is his way of taking her home. We don't know. Maybe he's going to make a way for her to be able to come home and still live a active life and get to see her grandchildren and great-grandchildren. But in any case, in any scenario, in any circumstance, our purpose is to please him, to please God and not people. And so when we focus on him and not on our problems, when we focus on pleasing him, we're doing the right thing. And doing the right thing according to God's will is always a pleasure to him, a pleasing thing to him, a sweet aroma to him. And our purpose is to please God, not people. If we're always people-pleasing, then we're not pleasing the Lord. We're not even pleasing ourselves, because we're always trying to do what other people expect or what you think that they want. It may not even be what they want, but you think that is the way that they're thinking, and it may not even be so. People pleasers are often very depressed on the inside because they feel like they never measure up. So if you are trying to please people all the time, just know that it's easier to please God. If you're pleasing God, then you're on the right road, and that's the way to go.
Well, not only that, but God says that his burden is a lot lighter to carry.
Yeah.
We do have to pick up our own cross.
Yeah.
And that can be very hard. But there's an aspect of in the Bible they talk about a yoke, and a yoke is a frame that is fitted to two necks to be able to haul a load. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a brace that two animals generally are able to share to be able to pull a load equally.
Yes.
So that the most of their efforts are being shared at the same rate.
Yes.
Normally, how it is that if one animal at any point is weaker than the other one, it doesn't work as well.
Right.
Or it still causes, or if one of the animals collapses, then the other animal is left to do all the work on top of that other one.
Or it would stall the whole process.
When we're people pleasers, we tend on taking on that yoke. And when people don't do their part to help us with the load, we tend to not only get the brunt of the yoke, but also all their problems, all their issues. And the way that I was explained that when God says that he lightens our load, that his burden is easy to carry, is because he lifts us and he says, I'm willing to walk your life with you.
Yeah. Beside you.
Beside you. And he takes up our yoke with us.
Yes.
He is the only God in history, in any sort of religion, that was willing to ever do that. He was willing to come to our level, experience our tribulations, experience our illnesses, our temptations, our hungers, our diseases,
our
heartbreaks, and our experiences. Having people be at their worst with him. When he died on the cross, he had every single illness placed upon him, the sins of the world, and he acted as a sacrifice to be able to allow us to have a way to God. Yeah. That if we chose him and called him Lord, and to live a life recognizing him as Lord, and that we would be saved.
Yeah.
You know, if you believe in your heart and confess that Jesus is Lord, then you are saved.
Yes.
You know, but that sort of revelation does not come without a life-changing experience that causes us to change our hearts and what we would want to do to be able to change our ways, to not live in sin, to not be, we have to work out our salvation.
Yeah.
And salvation does come with a level of sacrifice. Now, he did the full sacrifice, but we have to be willing to lay down our part in hammering him to the cross. If we really do want to be able to receive that sacrifice. And there's something about the fact that he was willing to go all that way. And then he says, my burden is light, and I will walk with you.
Yeah.
And when you see that people pleasing, it leaves us with so much, because they will never be satisfied most of the time. They will never appreciate all that you do, because they don't see it, because you're so willing to sacrifice your own mental health or physical health to be able to make sure
your time or your effort,
to be able to not let them see how hard it was for you.
Yeah.
And so because you don't communicate how hard it was, they think that it wasn't that big of a deal, and so they put more on.
Yeah.
And it's a constant abuse of lack of communication, because you think that this is what you have to do to be recognized, and they're not even recognizing you. And I think about the way that this verse just, the purpose, our purpose is to please God, not people. We get so caught up in trying to be like, we are called to be peacemakers.
Yeah.
But peacemaking is at the expense of having to say the truth to be able to end problems.
Yeah.
just people pleasing and doing everything that you can do to avoid a war does not actually bring peace. It just means that you're choosing to walk on the eggshells, and that's not worth it.
No.
But we have a God that's literally willing to walk with us, willing to share our yoke. And his portion of the yoke is much lighter because he's actually willing to walk aside with you, with yours, than to deal with people in our lives that are toxic. It's very hard to not default to what we generally do, especially, I'm guessing that our audience is more primarily women. We tend to have it in ourselves that we as the homemakers,
the caregivers, we get so used to our sense of agency, our sense of autonomy being gone after we have kids, that we're so used to no longer being allowed to own ourselves, because at any given point someone's going to need us. We're not allowed to actually claim ourselves anymore. And so many other people in the home have no concept of the level of dependency and the level of a struggle it is to not be able to have your agency anymore, or your autonomy anymore, because of the position of the home that you're in. Yeah.
And to not be recognized when we have a God that's willing to recognize us. Right. To not have a level of a place where we can actually sit down and get some peace and some have an anchor in our lives in the midst of the storm. I'm not saying that crafting is a form of salvation, but in some ways it can be a way to be able to sit down and be like, I can do this for myself, and that is okay. I can sit down and be able to have a couple of minutes to myself where this is not selfish. This is for me. I'm getting something done. I am being productive. And that is okay.
And it also pleases the Lord.
And it pleases the Lord to be able to do to use our talents. Yeah. God doesn't give us these abilities to not be used.
Yeah. He doesn't want us putting them on a shelf. He wants us to use them.
And I know a lot of crafters that take their time to craft to be able to meditate with God. I have done it myself. It's not a regular practice. I'm not saying that I'm in any sort of wrong way for not, but just more of, I know there are some people that take time that with specific crafts they only pray, or they meditate, or they listen to the Bible on some sort of audio, like the free Bible app. Some of the downloads have audio that is free as well, that you can actually listen to the Bible. Yeah. You can listen to sermons on YouTube. You can listen to Christian podcasts. You can listen to godly podcasts, I should say, that are free on different radio stations like Pandora, or you can find a podcast app that generally has free stuff. And you can find ways of being able to have that be a time for you and God.
Yeah.
But no matter what, being able to use your talent is something that He does not want us to waste. That one of the things that displeases Him the most is to waste our time here. When He was a crafting and very creative God, He instilled in us an ability to be creative. It does not always have to be with yarn. It could be with wood. It can be with, it could be on technology. It could be in engineering. It could be in writing. It can be in science. It could be in the ability to think outside the box. Almost every single talent is a way to be able to have this sense of community, to come together, to be able to further the world, and be able to bring us closer to the kingdom of God. And it's just, it's a part of a way that we can please Him. And, it's simple. Yeah. There's just simple things that you can do. And I was once told, to love someone is to see the face of God. And, acts of love, giving gifts, acts of service, making something. There's some ways that we can truly further and brighten people's days by spending time, being able to think of them with simple gifts. You know, my nephews don't even know what's happening, but in a couple of months they're going to be so excited. My kids are going to be so excited to have these things because we have fans on in their room, so I'll be able to put them above their beds and the fans can help them spin and help them calm down and go to sleep. Even if we put them outside their windows or something, they're going to enjoy the decorations in their rooms. There's something about just the simple things of spreading kindness and just spreading a smile that can be so contagious and really help people out. And I think that is something so, sadly, in our day and age, we can't do that. I mean, you can see a smile and you can hear a smile in the voice and you can see the smile in the eyes, but with these masks, it can be very hard to actually pass the normal smiles that we normally used to get to do.
Right.
Not a debate on the COVID, but just, it can be very hard when it feels like there's been such a shutdown.
Right.
And it's just time. It's time for us to not let our focus be on things that are happening around the world. Not that there aren't things that are not worth focusing on. But if our purpose is to please God, then He will tell us what we can be doing to be able to further and do, to be effective in where we are right now, to be able to help everyone where we're at.
Exactly.
And I'll end on this. I was once told we're all missionaries to some degree when we're willing and have already made that agreement that we want to be able to spread our relationship and be able to help open the door for other people if they would like to also have a relationship with the Lord. It's theirs to make, but they won't be able to know unless we share our relationship with Him. And I was always just like, there are people that truly have the anointing to go from their home to somewhere else and be able to minister and be missionaries. Truly and forever, they have the heart of a missionary and they truly are able to impact different countries. We have personal friends that do that in Peru and in Africa and in France and other areas of the world. Yeah, we truly do. And they're fantastic people. And I'm glad that they have that gift, that installation installed in part of them. It would be so sad to see that talent not be used. Right. But they are using it. But I was once told, we can't focus on all the problems in the world because it will overwhelm us. The devil has a good way of overwhelming us with how active he is in the world and how good he is at his job. But what we cannot forget is that God placed us where we are at for such a time as this. And there is always this aspect of God can use you where you are at any time, anywhere, wherever you are in your life, no matter your walk with Him, no matter whether you've kind of backslidden, whether you are at the best part of your relationship with Him, no matter where you're at, if you're willing to let God use you, it can be the neighbor, it could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could just be smiling, it could just be a kind word, a recognition, a text to somebody, a go saying hi to your grandmother that you haven't seen in 2 months. You don't know. Yeah. But if you let God tell you and ask Him how you can be used, you will further and impact your area with this ripple effect. Right. And everyone can pray and intercede for different things going on everywhere in the world. And we should. But there's a part and a place where we have to recognize that God has us here right now for a reason. And we can't be thinking that it would be easier if we just moved there. Right. Or go here when He already has us here for a reason. Right. And sometimes we can't even move to our next portion of life or stage of life if we are not actually fulfilling where He wants us or what lessons that we're here for now. Right. Because we won't even be ready for that next season.
Well, and then there's something that you had said a long time ago that I still find true today, and we'll end on that is. Okay.
Sorry.
He died for us, so we should live for Him.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a verse. But He died for us so that we could live for Him. Another way of doing it is, He loved so we we must love because he loved first.
Yeah.
We don't get to choose who gets the grace of God when he's already chosen that.
Right.
Sometimes we get so caught up in being judges of this world that we have no concept of being able to have the heart of God, and it can hurt our ability to reach people.
Right.
But everyone starts somewhere. Even if we don't like them. It's just truth. I'm just saying, we all have that, and we all have to personally deal with it.
Right.
It's just truth. But we hope that we were able to help and inspire and get you guys ready for some of the holidays coming up. You know, we have birthdays, we have personal gifts, we have just random gifts, we got getting ready for Christmas, and we are getting ready for, I think the next holiday is Halloween. Am I wrong? It's Halloween and then Thanksgiving and then Christmas.
Yeah.
Because we have Halloween stuff starting to go into stores. We might be able to do something fun there. I haven't had the kids on any sort of Halloween thing that they have done. It's just been with family or friends.
Right.
Just like local stuff. Because COVID hit and we weren't able to do anything.
Yeah.
So I don't really know if we'll do anything this year, but we'll be able to do something fun. Maybe, some pumpkins or something.
Yeah.
Have something. I'm hoping to have some different scenery for that.
Yeah.
And then for Thanksgiving. And then, I don't know. I just like this ability to create stuff that we can just be able to celebrate. We don't have to always buy the decorations.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have some new fun stuff in store for these next couple of months, and we're getting excited because, oh my goodness, Christmas is coming. We really need to start figuring out what we're doing for people.
I know. That's why I did my Christmas for the kids.
Yeah, right
at the beginning of the year.
You're smart. Well, we love you. We hope that we were able to be good fellowship for you and be able to inspire you and be able to excite you for what we'll be able to have progress made and done for next week with my mom's sweater and with the Link character. Hopefully the Link will be done and I'll be starting on the Godzilla.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'll have any time to do the blanket in between. I'm going to be so hyper-focused on getting this done. I get very tunnel vision when I get onto projects like this.
That's the fun of it.
It really is. It's the addiction. It's just like this adrenaline rush of endorphins, and you're just like, oh my god! So, alright, well, we'll see you next week, and remember, we're always here if you have any prayer requests. If you would be willing to stand with us in prayer for my grandmother, that would be really helpful to us. We're just asking for divine intervention, regardless of what the outcome is. We just ask that God's will and blessing be on this transition, whether it be to,
her home or his home.
Yes. We want to be able to make it easier and be able to mend some bridges that we have with some family that we have not been able to talk to, except for scenarios like this that kind of push us back together, and that things would go much smoother. We ask that if you have any prayer requests, like I had said before, that you can send it to us with our email in the description, or you can share any thoughts or feelings or even prayer requests in the comments. It's up to you. We just like hearing from you guys. It really means a lot to us. We don't have many followers, but it's still fun to be able to feel like we're still talking to friends that would be fun to hang out with, even just off camera.
Yeah.
That's always what we think about when we're doing this stuff. We're just talking to friends.
It's just talking to a friend.
So we are going to get off because we're just rambling, and we're just going to be here forever if we don't, because we're talking to friends. So anyway, we'll see you next week, and as always, stitch your way
to mental health.